I've already covered the new pearlescent coating that weapon skins can receive. It shifts their colours across the colour spectrum by a customisable amount and in a chosen direction. But will older skins ever be updated with this? I know that, where suitable, older skins have later received normal maps, but pearlescent doesn't just emphasise the details on the weapon, it can completely change the look of the weapon. But I didn't let that stop me. I tested it out on numerous older skin designs, and now let me share with you how it went. Starting with the Glock Grinder, since this feels like a weapon made for pearlescence. And I was right. I think it looks great and could easily be added into this design without upsetting anybody, since this is clearly what the finish was meant to look like in the first place. I initially chose a value of -12, which is enough to cycle through all of the different colours, but by unfortunate coincidence, this perfectly cancelled out the rainbow colours along the side, instead swapping them all out for purple. So I tried again with a huge value of 100, which certainly showed the rainbow, but perhaps this was going a little bit too far since each speck of colour would show several at once. The best number is probably somewhere between the two that I tested, but I limited myself to 2 attempts per skin. Let's move on. Now of course I had to try this XM1014 to see how it would affect 2 bold colours when there weren't any shades in between. My first try with a value of -8 was a little bit too much, making the curved barrel look like a normal map. So I reduced this down to -2 and it returned to just being 2 colours again, albeit different ones from the original, and with one of them being a garish purpley pink. I like to treat all colours equally, but between red and blue it gets a little bit too neon for my liking. With the Sword of Origami I wanted to move it further into the red, to see how it affected a collection of similar colours. I liked the result, but wanted to see what would happen if I made it stronger still, so doubled it again and unfortunately strayed into neon pink land. This SG553 behaved differently. Changing the pearlescent value did shift the colours around, but then their shade would remain fixed in place regardless of viewing angle. Where it catches the light, it kind of hints to going a different colour, so I tripled the pearlescence but the same thing happened. Don't think I'm going to win any awards with these new colour schemes. I had to feature something like this AWP Asimov. The pearlescent value only affects the orange colour. A large value would transform it into a rainbow band, but I resisted the temptation and chose a modest value of 7, which shifted it around to being a yellow-green colour. For some reason I instinctively wanted to avoid yellow, but I quite like the effect here, with a light green-blue around the edges acting as an almost metallic sheen to it. It looks smooth, doesn't it? I dropped the value to a smaller -2, so it jumped the other way towards neon pink instead. I've already said how I don't like that colour, but I think this design gets away with it better than most. Something of a first here at the Click Empire, with the G3SG1 Flux pattern I got it right first time with a value of -9, thankfully moving the dark purple away from the neon pink, but stopping just short of scat yellow. It's at times like this I feel I shouldn't be showing you this kind of video and should instead be developing similar skins of my own to cash in on this early testing I'm doing. I was way too demure with this Galil. A value of 3 did hardly anything to the colours, so I upped it to a stonkingly massive value of 70. This turned the weapon into a multicoloured mess, with green highlights. Now in this case it didn't work, but maybe hydrographic finishes such as this one and gunsmith finishes like the SG553 from earlier need a greater pearlescent value than most to make a meaningful difference to the colours. Of course this is something you'll quickly discover for yourself if testing your own designs, but I've got to move on. Now for one that you know is going to be good, the Case Hardened AK-47. It's almost like the pearlescent feature was made for this skin's oily rainbow finish. I chose a value of 24 to give the effect enough strength to cycle through the colours several times at once. I like it, but the subtle uses deserve some love too. Take the P250 Iron Clad. I tried to keep it respectable by sticking to a reasonably low value of 5, just enough to give the edges a purple tinge. I decided that this was the right degree of pearlescence for this skin, so then tried a similar but negative value to shift the whole thing towards the purple end of the spectrum. Looks almost like it's been burnt in a fire now. It's not like the Howl needs any changes, but I was curious to see what difference it made to it. I didn't want to risk going too far towards yellow in case some bits turned green, so I set out to make it a darker red colour instead. But the phantom neon pink struck and it made it look like this instead. I can't be bothered to manually edit the values again, so let's just shift the colours around in the video editor to get a feel for how else it could have ended up. And last, at risk of making the name redundant, let's change the colour of the Scar 20 Emerald. A pearlescent value of 2 adds a hint of blue. My favourite kind of blue. The best blue ever. When I grow up I want a car with this kind of paint finish, and if you don't like it then I'll fight you. The look is so good I upped it to 5 to see what would happen, and it ruined everything. There's a warning for you people, don't overdo it, or you'll lose the things you love.